So as a consumer, to protect myself from these debt collectors or debt buyers calling me all the time, even though I told them not to, what are some things I can do? Should I keep records of that? Should I, voice record, those calls? Or what are some things that we can do as a consumer, to protect ourselves and possibly take that for a suit or to another consumer lawyer?
Great question. There are things that you can do. One thing is documenting the calls. Document the date, the time, the caller ID that shows up on your phone. A lot of these smartphones, you can actually take a snapshot of the information of the caller ID.
Right.
I always tell folks, take those numbers that show up on your caller ID and Google them.
Sure.
Find out who's calling you.
Yep.
The problem these days is we have a lot of scammers out there in cyberspace that are asking for a payment, check over the phone, give me a transfer from your bank. Never do it. Don't do that because
it'll suck your bank dry.
Well, not only that, it might not even be a legitimate collector.
Right.
You have these folks out there that are scammers. They operate in the gray area. They're on the fringe. They don't want to be found. And so when they come to me, the first thing we have to do is find out, do we have a viable defendant?
Right.
Somebody with a brick and mortar building with employees and payroll and phones where they're actually calling from.
Sure.
So, it's important to document, what occurs in that call, what's being said to you, trying to determine whether or not it's an actual robocall. And one way to do that is, if you pick up the phone and you hear some dead air and you're hello, hello, and nobody answers, but then you hear some clicking noises and then maybe a live person comes on the phone or you hear a pre-recorded message.
Right.
You can be pretty sure that's a robocall.
Okay.
Other things you can do would be, take pictures of your caller ID. Get your phone records.
Right.
Get your phone records and highlight those incoming calls.
Right.
And as much of this work that you can do before you go and see the consumer lawyer, you bring your evidence in, you show the consumer attorney your phone records, your caller ID photos.
Right.
You've got all the calls documented out. These cases are strict liability. All I have to do is go into court, show the phone records, show the evidence that the calls were made, prove, that it was an automated dialing system.
Sure.
Which just about every, business is using.
I get them all the time. So as far as, that's good. I mean, tracking that, documenting it, because obviously it's going to build your case when you're going to go sue a debt collector. What about recording a call? I know certain states have rules where you have to get permission from the other person. How does that apply to people in Michigan?
Well, in Michigan, you're allowed to record a call.
Okay.
An incoming call that you're a participant to the conversation.
Okay.
It's a pretty well-established law. It would be better to let the other side know that you were recording the call.
Sure.
And a lot of these debt collectors don't care anyway. They don't believe you anything you say anyway.
Right.
But you can record the calls, and I would say, honestly, don't bother recording the calls unless you've got a really abusive, harassing debt collector.
Right. Okay.
Anytime a debt collector is disrespectful, undignified, tells you something that's not true, like they're going to sue you next.
Threatening you and...
Right.
Okay.
Implying...
What happens?
Implying that you're a bad person or you're a criminal, there could be a criminal prosecution.
Right.
They start calling your neighbors, your family.
Right, yeah.
But that's all illegal, and it's all designed to wrench a payment from the consumer who oftentimes just doesn't have the wherewithal to make the payment.
Right. Great. That's some really good information on the TCPA. Could you give us some closing thoughts on the TCPA and possibly someone who's in a pinch right now, what should they do first, to start battling debt collectors?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, this is a law that's very popular. I mean, congressmen, federal judges have all had their dinner interrupted or been woke up by these calls that are
right.
nothing but a nuisance.
Right.
And it's all in the name of commerce.
Sure.
These telemarketers, these sellers of services, they're looking to increase their profits and get more business, but they could care less about the aggravation that it causes the rest of us.
Yeah, what do they care if they're going to get their money?
Right. So, my best advice to you is go out, do a little internet research, Google these laws, the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act. Find a good consumer lawyer. Why would you think twice about not contacting a lawyer who specializes in this area?
Sure.
It would just, it makes no sense to try and do this on your own. I know Dave Ramsey was quoted as, trying to, tell his folks you can deal with these debt collectors on your own. And although Dave Ramsey's got great advice on many, many financial topics, he's just plain wrong on that topic. If you want to maximize your remedy and protect your rights, go to a lawyer that specializes in Fair Debt Collection Practice Act cases as well as Telephone Consumer Protection Act cases.
Great. Well, I thank you for your time to do this interview, Rex.
Thanks a lot, Patrick.